Rain fell in thin, silver lines, turning the city into a watercolor of blurred lights and softened edges. 3 years earlier, on a night much like this, Linyu had walked out of the grand iron gates of a Chun estate with nothing but a small suitcase and a heart too bruised to feel the cold. Behind her, the mansion glowed with warm light and laughter. None of it meant for her anymore. Back then, she had been Chun Wei's wife in name, chosen through a business arrangement that merged two powerful families. She had entered the marriage with quiet hope, believing that kindness and patience could grow into love. But Chun Wei had always been distant, courteous the way one might be to a stranger on a train. The night everything shattered, she had returned early from a charity event to find another woman in the house, someone who moved through the halls with a familiarity Linyu herself had never been granted. There had been no shouting, no dramatic confrontation. Just a long, hollow silence as realization settled like dust over broken glass. Chun Wei hadn't denied anything. He had simply looked tired, as if her pain were another burden he did not know how to carry. "I'm sorry," he had said. Those 2 words had erased 3 years of marriage more completely than any argument could have. So she left. What the world did not know, what even Chun Wei had never cared to learn, was that Linyu was not merely the gentle, quiet daughter of a declining family. She was the hidden heiress of a powerful Lin consortium, raised away from the spotlight for safety after a series of internal conflicts. Her marriage had been meant to stabilize alliances, not reveal her true status. When she stepped into the rain that night, she also stepped back into the identity she had set aside. 3 years passed. In that time, Linyu transformed from a forgotten wife into a name whispered with respect across boardrooms. Under her leadership, the Lin consortium expanded into new industries, acquired struggling companies, and became known for ruthless efficiency paired with unexpected fairness. Employees adored her. Rivals feared her. The press called her the Phantom Heiress because she rarely appeared in public without strict control. Yet in quiet moments, when work ended and the office lights dimmed, memories still surfaced, of shared dinners eaten in polite silence, of the single time Chun Wei had remembered she liked jasmine tea, of the way he used to stand by the window late at night as if searching for something beyond the city. She told herself those memories meant nothing. On the 3rd anniversary of her departure, Linyu attended a charity gala hosted in the very city she had left behind. The ballroom shimmered with crystal chandeliers and orchestral music. When she entered, conversations paused for just a fraction of a second, long enough to acknowledge power had arrived. She wore a gown the color of midnight, simple but elegant, her hair swept into a style that revealed the quiet confidence in her posture. No one would have recognized the soft-spoken woman who once tried so hard to please a husband who never truly saw her. Then she saw him. Chun Wei stood near the balcony doors, speaking with a group of investors. He looked thinner, the sharp lines of his face more pronounced. The effortless composure he once carried now seemed strained, like a suit that no longer fit. When his gaze lifted and met hers across the room, the glass in his hand trembled almost imperceptibly. The conversation around him faltered. For a moment, neither moved. The orchestra played on, oblivious. Linyu inclined her head slightly, a gesture of polite acknowledgement, nothing more. Then she turned to speak with someone else, as if he were just another acquaintance. Chun Wei crossed the room before he fully realized he was moving. Linyu. Her name sounded different in his voice now, careful, almost fragile. She turned, her expression composed. "Mr. Chun." The formality struck him harder than anger would have. You look well," he said, immediately aware of how inadequate the words were. "Thank you. I've been busy." Silence stretched between them, filled with things unsaid. Around them, guests pretended not to watch. "I heard you're leading the Lin consortium," he said at last. "Yes." Another pause. "I didn't know," he admitted quietly. "Back then, I didn't know who you really were." Linyu studied him for a moment, her eyes calm but unreadable. "You didn't ask." The truth of it landed heavily. He had never asked about her dreams, her past, her fears. He had assumed she would always be there, a quiet presence in the background of his life. "I was a fool," he said. She didn't respond. A woman approached Chun Wei then, placing a hand lightly on his arm. She was elegant, confident, the same woman Linyu had seen 3 years ago. "Wei, the chairman is asking for you." Lin Yu's gaze flickered to the hand, then back to Chen Wei's face. There was no pain in her expression now, only distance. You should go, she said. He hesitated, as if wanting to say something more, but the moment slipped away. The woman guided him back toward the crowd, her smile triumphant. Lin Yu watched them leave, surprised to find her chest steady, her breathing even. The wound that once felt fatal had healed into a scar, still there, but no longer bleeding. She left the gala early. Outside, rain had begun to fall again, soft at first, then heavier, drumming against the pavement. Her driver pulled the car around, but before she could step inside, a voice called her name. Lin Yu, wait! Chen Wei ran toward her, coatless, hair already damp. The other woman was nowhere in sight. Why are you here? She asked, genuinely puzzled. I needed to talk to you. Not in there. Not with everyone watching. Rain soaked through his shirt, clinging to him, but he didn't seem to notice. There's nothing left to say, she replied calmly. There is, he insisted, his voice breaking. I made the worst mistake of my life. That night, it meant nothing. I thought I was trapped in a marriage that neither of us wanted. I didn't realize you were trying so hard that you... He stopped, swallowing hard. After you left, the house felt empty. Not quiet, empty. I kept expecting to hear your footsteps, to see you sitting with your tea. I searched for you, but your family said you didn't want to be found. She had made sure of that. I thought time would fix it, he continued. It didn't. Every year, every month, it just made me realize what I lost. Thunder rolled faintly in the distance. Lin Yu stood under the shelter of the car door, dry and composed, while he remained in the rain, as if punishing himself. Mr. Chen, she said softly, we were strangers forced into a promise neither of us chose. What happened was inevitable. No, he said immediately. It wasn't. I could have chosen differently. I should have chosen you. The rain intensified, blurring the city lights into streaks of gold and white. He stepped closer but stopped short, leaving a respectful distance between them. Then, slowly, he lowered himself to his knees on the wet pavement. Gasps came from nearby onlookers. Please, he said, his voice raw. Give me one more chance. Not as a business alliance. Not as obligation. Just as two people who might learn to love each other properly this time. Water streamed down his face, indistinguishable from tears. For the first time that evening, Lin Yu's composure wavered. Not from anger or hurt, but from the sheer weight of the moment. 3 years ago, she had begged silently for even a fraction of this attention, this sincerity. Now it lay at her feet, too late and yet painfully genuine. Do you know what I learned after I left? She asked quietly. He shook his head. That love cannot survive on effort from only one side. It needs two people choosing each other every day. I will, he said desperately. Every day, as long as you'll let me. She looked down at him, the powerful CEO who once seemed untouchable, now kneeling in the rain without pride or defense. Part of her wanted to walk away, to protect the life she had rebuilt with such care. Another part remembered the lonely man by the window, the small acts of kindness that had slipped through his reserve, the possibility that perhaps they had both been victims of circumstances in silence. She stepped forward. For a heartbeat, he held his breath. Stand up, she said. He obeyed immediately, water dripping from his sleeves. I won't promise anything, she continued. 3 years changed me. I'm not the woman who left your house with a suitcase and hope. I know, he said softly. You're stronger now. And you may find you don't like that. A faint, fragile smile touched his lips. I already admire it. Rain softened to a gentle patter. I will consider getting to know you again, she said at last. Slowly, honestly, no expectations. Relief flooded his expression, so suddenly it was almost boyish. Thank you. Don't thank me yet, she added. You'll have to earn it. I will, he promised. For the first time in 3 years, they stood side by side, not as strangers bound by duty, but as two people facing an uncertain future together. Her driver cleared his throat discreetly. Miss Lin, shall we go? She glanced at Chen Wei, then back at the open car door. Would you like a ride? She asked. He hesitated, surprised. If you're not busy, she added, a hint of warmth returning to her voice. I'm not, he said quickly. They sat in the back seat, leaving a careful space between them. The car pulled into the rain-washed streets, city lights reflecting like scattered stars on the pavement. Neither spoke for a while. Then Chinwei said quietly, "I still remember how you like your tea." Lin Yu turned her head, meeting his eyes. "Do you?" she asked. "Yes. Jasmine. No sugar." Something inside her softened, just a little. Outside, the storm began to clear, clouds parting to reveal a sliver of moonlight. 3 years had been lost to one terrible night, but perhaps not everything was gone. Some stories did not end when hearts broke. Sometimes they waited, patiently, for the courage of two people willing to begin again. And as the car disappeared into the shimmering city, the rain finally stopped, leaving behind streets that glowed with the quiet promise of a new dawn.